Hey everyone, Wade and Ryan here, NFL in London podcast. We got another one cooking for you. It's before the draft. I know a lot of people are very excited about what's going on in Pittsburgh. Not so much. I think the big news is Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini, whatever. What is going on? Does anyone care? Is this just we're so bored
Patriot
in the off
cheating?
season?
A patriot cheating? Are you kidding me? I don't
I've
believe
never
it.
heard of it.
I've never
He's
heard
going to
such
need Robert Kraft
blasphemous.
lawyers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what they say? They always say, it's the snake. What is it? The evil just drips down. What is it
Does it
that
the
saying?
rot?
The rot.
Yeah,
Yes,
rot
yeah.
drips down.
You
Rot
know,
drips
it's and
down.
it's when Robert Kraft is just your leader, you're heading into
Yeah.
some dangerous waters. So it's a
Well,
really
that,
interesting
yeah,
story because nobody really understand, like nobody wants to talk about it or say anything just because I guess like
sure.
they're all like club. But I mean it's a bad look for both sides because you
Sure.
cannot as a coach, and especially if the Patriots are trying to trade for AJ Brown now. Like,
Yeah.
so it'd be interesting to see like what's going to happen. Does all this throw it completely off that where they're just like we're not trading trade him somewhere else because it's just
Yeah.
like if he gets traded for like a second round pick or like a third round pick and people are just like this stinks, this stinks to high heaven. It's a bad look and the NFL can't have it. The
Yeah.
journalists like the New York Times or Athletic definitely can't have it. So it just feels like she's just gonna get sidelined for like a year, and then they'll just try and
Yeah.
like soft launch her back in the UFL or something. Yeah, let her just see how people react to it. But the internet never forgets, unfortunately. So
No.
I don't anticipate this being a great ending for her. Vrabel will be fine, but for
Un-
her, probably not
yeah.
great.
Unlike Robert Kraft, it won't be a happy ending.
No, it will,
I
it will
think
definitely not be.
there's you wonder, is it like, because apparently it's the Athletic that was really pushing on this one as part of their investigation, and you sort of go, is this a way just to knock down a woman in broadcasting? Is this even anything there? Could they have been good friends? You see the pictures and you're like, oh man, this is a big distraction. And then any high morality that the Patriots have when talking to Stephon Diggs, it's sort of like, really? Are you in any
Well,
position to talk to me or lecture me about anything?
it's even strange because doesn't her husband work for like the Commanders or something like that?
Probably.
So
It could be,
she's like
yeah.
she's I think like her husband works for the Commanders. She's an insider for the Eagles, and
Yeah.
she's been caught with the Patriots.
It's
Just a wild like how there's so many conflicts of interest that are going all over the map. Maybe they all just cancel each other out. Like,
yeah. I mean, yeah, there's just so much drama that's going on with all of this, and yeah, it's just you wonder if this is just a big distraction before the season gets going. Does it actually mean anything? But it does sort of take a slap to Vrabel and to the Patriots as well. That you're like, what's going on here? Are you hiding all this kind of stuff? So I mean, it's just, yeah, it's a wonder in terms of,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. The NFL just it's this is the quietest part of, as you can tell, our podcast starting with a holding hands scandal.
yeah.
That's how bottom of the barrel we've had
That's
to dig to find something to talk about in the NFL as of today. Because again, right before that's why I always say, and everyone always kind of feels the same way. The draft's just too long. It's like 3 months. It should be in March. Like it
yeah,
already should have happened, or it should be
yeah,
happening literally like at the beginning of April. You don't have to wait till almost May to do it, and then
sure,
it goes over for like 4 days. It's just and again we got the World Cup coming up, so we're gonna be. But right now, especially, it just might get, especially when the draft happens, then you might see that second wave of like signings happen because some
sure,
spots have been filled and maybe some guys get cut or whatever. But I just think the wait is just killing us. And I think the NFL's like the NBA does it like literally like a week after the league ends
sure.
or something, right? So I mean I don't think these guys need this long to and then to have the gall to take like 9 minutes on the first pick.
Yeah.
And when the draft comes,
Well,
which
down from
is even
11
bigger.
though, which is good. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The first round should be
Um,
like 8 seconds long each pick because they've done enough
just
work.
boom.
They know who they
Yeah,
want.
make your pick. Do you know? Yeah, exactly. You've got get it in, or if not, goes to the next guy. Um, we do talk about the boredom in terms of broadcasting and everything like that, but the interesting thing is the Department of Justice in America has now decided they're going to investigate whether or not the NFL is too expensive. Now, the fact that this is being, supported by Larry Ellison and Rupert Murdoch in terms of Fox and CBS and all of these kind of guys, but the contention here is that because in the UK, we obviously can pay for Game Pass. We don't know how that's going to work out in terms of DAZN, in terms of ESPN. But is it too expensive for people in America having to wait? And obviously for us in the UK, there's Netflix, there's Prime. So, it's an interesting thing that these other billionaires are upset that some billionaires are taking away from their pockets.
No, I know.
And it's going to be an interesting turn to see how this goes. Or is the DOJ going to look at this and say, yeah, this is not right. It's not right for the American consumers and the ramifications this could have on NFL rights globally.
I mean, it's just they have to do something, or we're coming towards a pay-per-view Super Bowl soon. The way things are going, right? Like, it's just what do you have to? You have to have Netflix, you have to have Amazon, you have to have Paramount Plus, you have to have
YouTube,
ESPN, you need to have YouTube, you need to, and it's just like it's wild. I don't think you could even. I feel bad, I guess, for just not everyone has like access to a sports bar down the street from them, right? Like there's millions upon millions of people who are just living in the middle of nowhere that depend on this, that can't go watch it with a bunch of buddies every week, like we used to do over here. So I agree. I think this is outrageous what they've been doing, and they've been doing it for so long. And the worst part is the product they're putting on the field is even worse. Like the Christmas games on Netflix were atrocious. They want to add another 18 games. Like they want to, so they're just killing their own customers. And again, when especially with the way everything's going and the cost of everything, people are just going to be like, you know what? I don't need to watch Thursday night football. Maybe I'll just get rid of that because soon it's going to be Tuesday night football, and then there'll be Wednesday night football, and then it'll be 7 days a week. Because I think that's the goal. They're cannibalizing themselves in a way, and I think if they don't stop, I mean, give billionaires an inch, they'll take literally an acre, not a mile, like acres and acres of everything. So they will start taxing you for watching it with a friend if they could.
I'm
sure. I just think it's outrageous, and I would love for this to happen, but I guarantee you nothing. They don't get thrown away, or Trump will be like, you know what, let's just let it go. Who knows? We've already seen that with Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster was supposed to go into a huge thing, and they just got let off the hook, and now they're doing it again with the World Cup tickets, and tickets are like 30,000, and they can't even get rid of them because they've screwed themselves over. And I think the NFL's playing a very dangerous game with this because you can only poke people so much, and they're going to snap. And I think especially when talk about the product has been bad in a lot of cases. The quarterback plays bad. The end of these seasons bad. So, I mean, it's not like the quality of the game are getting better. I think it's been worse the last couple of years than it's been. So
it's also, I think, to the point of that, you talk about Trump or whatever. I mean, Larry Ellison, obviously his buddy. And so them and buying a Netflix and everything like that. But I think that it's really tone deaf in the fact that people don't really realize how bad the economy is. And that when people are going and dumpster diving for food, and you have a lot of people out of work, a lot of young people out of work, and then you're going, the billionaires are going, we're going to charge you a bit more. We got to charge you a bit more. It's like, come on. Like, read the room, man. There was a reason that these games are free. There was a reason that the NFL grew so much. Is they owned Sunday. It was free. You could watch it. The only thing you had to worry about was a blackout. And then when those blackouts did happen, like when you'd find out, the game actually sold out, it's back on TV. That was a big thing. I mean, I remember that in Buffalo, wanting to watch Buffalo games here in Canada.
Yeah.
And then you're like, are we going to watch it or not? And then you find they sell enough tickets. You're like, oh, good God, it's on TV now. And it was a big excitement. But the fact is, you've got to have Netflix, you've got to have Prime, you've got to have YouTube Pro, and then they, as you say, put out a horrible product where it's like, hey, we're going to go to this guy here, he's going to tell us stuff, and then the feed goes off, and you're like, can't you guys just get it together? Or just some horrible choices in hosts. So, I
Yeah,
mean, it's
this
going to
is
be,
a football, and they're just like trying to show, hey,
yeah,
there's a guy from Tanzania. Hey, this is a football, and they're like, this is
yeah.
embarrassing. Please don't do this.
I think one of the good things they did agree to do is they dropped the doubleheader on Monday nights, the
Yes.
game
Oh,
that
thank
nobody
God.
asked for.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of people like, why, like, are you really trying to grease us that much? And how much attention span do people have? And if you live in a household where maybe your partner only allows you, okay, you can have your NFL Sunday, but it's like, yeah, I need my NFL Monday, Thursday, and potentially Saturday and holidays. It's like, yeah, no, we're gonna watch
I'm bringing
Bluey.
the
You're
other
gonna like
TV
it.
down, and I'm
Yeah,
using all the TV. Yeah, the Monday night doubleheader was baffling. I never really understood what the point of it was. Why. And it's just such a, especially because like Monday Night Football used to be such like an iconic brand. It used to be one of the best nights of football of the week, and it's kind of been
yeah,
dumbed down to this kind of second fiddle type thing where nobody really even cares about it. Nobody wants to play it. Almost, it's kind of lost. Like the FA
yeah,
Cup, it used to be this
yeah,
amazing thing, and now nobody really cares about it. So I'm glad they got rid of it because again, games with less rest. I'm always up for more Sunday football. Less
yeah,
rest where players have more rest because what we don't want is another game and then injuries happening everywhere, and then week 14 to 17 we're just watching some of the worst quarterback play in NFL history going down. Teams trying to tank. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm glad they got rid of it though. It was a
yeah.
smart decision.
And it's
At
also
least they
like,
can actually
I
they
love,
don't double down. So.
yeah. I do love me some Al Michaels as a veteran broadcaster. And I just always feel bad listening to him on the Thursday night football. Like, it feels like he's in leg chains. Like, oh my God, I'm stuck here again for another Amazon broadcast.
They're
I
gonna
don't
force
really want
feed
to
him
be here. I hate it. I
vegetables.
hate these teams. Yeah. And just hearing a veteran broadcaster lament just the horrors of having to watch another Brown Saints game. Um,
Mm.
so, I mean, yeah, there's the UFL, which it's on. I don't know if anyone's watching it. It's on Fox. It's the broadcasts get good viewership. The live games not so much when you
Have
see
they
it. And there was a game
have
that
they have they done any?
what?
I thought they were doing some like 4 point kick rule. Were they doing that
Yeah, they're
this
doing
year?
if you kick it from a certain point, it's 4 points. There was a game last weekend that ended. It was a tie game, and the defense committed two penalty. Like they were doing their point after attempt, or they're due extra points, and the defense committed two penalties, and they just said game's over, offense wins, and you're like, what? Because it's like, yeah, well, you can't keep committing penalties. You do two penalties in a row, other team wins, and that
That's
was it.
like
And it was
when
just like that was over.
it's like when the recess bell rang and you're like, oh, how are we gonna end this game? Oh, well, you got a penalty.
Yeah,
Game over. Okay, I
bell rings.
guess
That's it.
we.
It's all over.
That's
I
how they
mean,
figured
so
out
there are,
3-on-3 hockey in the Olympics. They're like, let's just end this
yeah,
game as fast as humanly possible.
yeah. It's
The
it
great
is
coin
interesting because
flip.
UFL, yes, the UFL, for all it's people sort of hate it. There are some rules that the NFL looks and goes, we could adopt that. I mean, so now in the new rules for this season, onside kicks you can do it at any time, just any time you can do it. You can do an onside kick,
Yeah, but is
um,
it still the
and
same type of onside kick that has like a 1%, like 3% success rate? So it doesn't feel
yeah, but I guess if
that
you
good.
wanted to do it on first down, you could. And then replay assistance. They're also doing the replay assistance. I mean, it was tough enough because I think we saw some refereeing, and which we'll get into as well, where some refereeing are like, what's going on here? Like,
No,
and
no,
they are because what?
not in the NFL. Bad refing? No, I don't believe
Yeah, no.
it. I don't believe it.
So the NFL, and that's the thing, because the collective bargaining agreement for the referees ends on May 31st, and so they have been looking at signing 150 replacement refs, which is basically like, oh, you don't like your contract? Oh, we're going to replace you. Yeah, and I think when the last time we had that was it when they had 2012 when they had replacement refs and there was that fail Mary play.
No,
You
yeah,
know,
that's right.
Remember that one when we had the
Yeah,
replacement ones?
I
And
think so.
Jerry
Yeah.
Jones is like, I'll step in to help. You wonder, what was it like? Were there what the dynamics are and what's going to happen with the refs, because obviously there's a lot of pressure on them. There's, it's unlike back in, 20, 30 years ago where we didn't have as much replay. We didn't have a digital. We didn't have everyone on socials looking at their phone going, that's BS. That was just the way it was. You just dealt with it. I guess it's going to be interesting to see if these refs, these long-term refs, are just outed, and if it's scabs crossing the line and refs picketing. I don't know. Maybe they're going to solve this whole crisis for the refs or AI.
I mean, no, well, it won't be AI yet. But I think they're walking into a potential disaster here at the NFL if they don't fix this for multiple reasons. First, these refs should be full-time employees. The fact that they're not
Yeah,
pay, and they should be literally in the off season just doing eye tests and using VR to watch flag. They should be studied. They shouldn't be
yeah,
working another job if they have it. They should be refs, trying to find a way how they can get better as refs, because the NFL has a huge kind of credibility problem, and especially with the emergence of gambling coming into it, having good refs is as important as ever. Because if you're having all
yeah,
these games decided by bad refs, and then all of a sudden throw gambling into the mix, it just stinks. Of like, how many times do we see it in the season where something just didn't smell
yeah,
right? You're like, what do you mean he's kicking that pointless field goal to beat the spread at the end of the game for no reason? It's just,
yeah,
and then if you bring in replacement refs, my goodness, like if something goes down with like a bad beat, or a game-changing play that changes a bet that someone did, and then you find out that one of these replacement refs is just Tommy Cutlets
yeah,
from Jersey, who just wants to make a few extra bucks because he's about to get fired, because these guys are like, those replacement refs will just be like the mobsters and the
yeah.
gangsters will just be like trying to find
Brought to you
them and
by
just.
FanDuel. Yeah,
Yeah, so I think they should be doing whatever is in their power, because the two things people care the most about in the NFL as fans is we want competent refereeing that's just consistent across the board, and we don't want our players to get hurt. And we want them to play on
yeah,
grass and not playing in these terrible situations, because these owners and it's just the owners being cheap. The owners that they're not paying these guys the right price. They're not putting grass in every field because they want more, and they want them to play another game. Like I think it's outrageous. And if it goes to replacement refs, you can only laugh at how bad some. I would almost not bet any bets until
yeah.
until this is settled, because it just feels like everything will just be like the Wild West, the NFL.
Yeah, and I mean, I think what we saw towards the end of the season with the pass interference calls as well, where you're like, okay, that game you called it, but this game it wasn't. Like, find some consistency, find some middle ground here that you can look at and go, okay, this is, 1 week, as we've seen in the Chicago and Buffalo games where it's like, oh, you called it on that, but you didn't call it on this. So, there's got to be a consistency that goes into it. And as you say, like, if they are full-time employees, they're treated, they get benefits, like, because everyone in the world, these big corporations seems to be making everyone independent contractors, so they're not responsible for these people. Whereas, you've had some legacy refs and some people, and why not? Why not make it a job where you are judged on your merits, and if you are good, like Hotchel, like Muscles there, a guy like that,
Hockey,
you want to
yeah.
have a good ref. Hockey, that's right. Again, I don't even remember that, but
The fact that you
having
know a
something
ref's
like that.
name is even impressive.
Yeah,
Any of
I
us
know.
know a
His
ref's
son, I
name.
think his son plays anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
he's a nepo.
yeah.
He's a nepo baby. Nepo ref.
So we've had, like, we'll talk about some retirements. We had some retirements this year. It'd be interesting. See any thoughts on the players that have retired that we will no longer see.
Wow.
Stephon Gilmore has, he's gone.
He was still solid. I mean, I still thought he could have played last year, and it could have helped. He could have helped the Bills. I just think he hates Buffalo,
Yeah.
and he just didn't want to play. Because even when he was playing, I think, like Carolina in the last couple of years, and so he was still
Yeah.
solid. But and it's hard to find good corners. So great player,
Yeah.
great player.
Great player, good shutdown player. But again, one of those things you're like, could you squeeze another season? Sure, the family and his body is like, no, I don't think so.
He's got the Super Bowls. He doesn't care. He doesn't care.
Yeah. Ryan Kelly's center. I don't know if you remember him. He retired as well.
Is it the Lions?
If he sticks
That's
out,
not the Lions
yeah.
guy, is it? Yeah, yeah.
No,
There was a
no.
couple of that.
Yeah.
It was, and there was
Yeah.
the Bears center as well. Didn't he also retire?
Drew Dahlman. He was 27.
Yeah. So yeah, again, I think that was when you lose like such a to lose your center to just retiring is a
At
big
27
deal.
years
I think
old,
a lot of
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of people don't really, especially you know on a team like Detroit, if we're talking about Detroit, like to just who's
Well, that
already
was Ryan
kind of
Kelly.
just
Drew Dahlman was
yeah.
Chicago.
You're talking
Huh.
about Chicago, but the Ryan Kelly one, you just basically what you're watching is like you saw this great Detroit team, and just like Jenga pieces are just getting taken out bit by
Yeah.
bit from that team. Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, and then now
Yeah.
offensive linemen, and this tower, Dan Campbell's tower, is gonna come tumbling down. It feels like, and it's just another sustainable, like another loss, and now they're gonna have to give Gibbs all this money and all that. It's going to be a weird
Sure.
couple of years with that. So I think it's never great, especially with Jared Goff, to lose your center. And he hasn't been
Yeah,
playing
no,
great,
it's
so I
centers.
can't imagine.
I mean, with Drew Dahlman, I think there was also that thing for Chicago that you're like, oh, okay, pretty young, but when a guy at 27 makes that decision, you're like, okay, that's we got to replace that. But there's just energy, there's your body, there's CTE, there's a lot of things, and of course, family that are going, we think you're done. Kickers, I mean, when they retire, because kickers usually last longer, but Mason Crosby, his former standout from the Packers, retired. Um, you know, uh,
Well,
I guess it's just
retire
golf
those
season
like
for a lot of these guys.
yeah, I guess right. At least they walk away with
Yeah,
no worries about CTE or anything. Just leg cramps. That's all
yeah,
they'll get. Restless leg
yeah,
syndrome,
exactly.
maybe. That would be the worst
Well,
thing
just
you could get.
hit in the PGA circuit. Micah Hyde, also the safety, he retired. Um, Solid
I
player
mean, he
again,
kind
good
of
shutdown
retired
player.
last year. He kind of retired last year. He played. He was on the Bills, I think, coaching practice squad, but never really got there.
Yeah,
Great player, again, great player. Bad injury to the end of his career kind of cost him, but great Bill. He was a great Bill and Packer. Good
yeah.
career.
Philip Rivers obviously made it official. He had been retired, came back for the Colts, and then officially retired again. I guess
Yeah,
to get himself into the Hall of Fame.
healthcare,
But
baby.
y-
He's got some healthcare. That's
yeah,
why he wanted that healthcare. Now he's gonna pop
because
out
I guess
five more
like
kids.
I think we were all a bit surprised when they dug deep in. I'm sure Andrew Luck just put his phone on silent. I'm not coming back, man.
Yeah.
Um, but Philip Rivers coming in. Adam Thielen as well retired. Obviously, he got back with Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers last year. Decided that after some good years in Minnesota and Carolina, it was time to hang it up. Lost that
Yeah.
bit of the sprint. He still had some hands, but eventually you just realize it's not going to really happen for you.
No, he's more just like a red zone target. He's kind of like Jerome Bettis, where you used to just run him at the one, and that was like his only
Yeah,
offense. So Adam Thielen's only really now kind of like that guy. Put him in the five, he'll probably get you a couple nice touchdowns. But a great career for a guy. I don't think a lot of
yeah,
people had much kind of hope for. Just always consistent for years in
yeah.
Minnesota, especially.
So many years. Another guy who so many years for the Rams, Robert Woods, also retired.
Bobby
A guy
Trees,
who lost.
Bobby Trees,
What's that?
Bobby Trees, Bobby Trees,
Yeah.
Bobby Trees.
He he had some good years, but you could see the speed was going down for Woods. There was the separation that he used to be able to get from guys and the hands, and you've got a whole litany of young wide receivers out there. It's really hard to stand out sometimes.
No, you hit a cliff. Some guys, man,
Yeah,
some guys just hit that cliff when it's about 30, 31. We saw with kind of reminds you of like Allen Robinson, right? Allen Robinson was so
yeah.
good for a while. And then all of a sudden, it's like he'd never played football. It's like his deal with the devil expired and couldn't catch or get
Yeah,
open or even anything. It's just sometimes it's just drastic the fall
it's
from
time to call
grace.
it. And I think also when you start making money and you're living the life and you've got a certain lifestyle, it's like, you know what? I like the lifestyle. And when you start finding that there's other ways to make some money, a lot of these guys get their MBA, a lot of these guys go into finance, a lot of these guys go into other things. You sort of go, I can make just as much money, if not more, and not put my body on the line.
They're all going to be
Um,
streamers. They're all going to be streamers.
yeah, OnlyFans
Yeah.
for athletes. Let's talk about now some of the free agents that we have, because there's still some free agents. There was a lot of momentum. I think we saw there was a frenzy. It was a Shark Tank at the start of the season, of the off season. And now we have still some guys that don't have a home. and obviously they're not probably going to have a home till after the draft. But we'll talk about some of them. We've got Tyreek Hill, 32 years old, 10 years in the league. Everyone keeps talking that he will go back to Kansas City. But do you think is this going to be something that he does? Is there going to be people shy to pick him up? Or is it going to be an afterthought where people are just trying to pad their team, picking up someone like Tyreek if he
I
still
don't
has the
know.
speed or if he still has the energy?
I'm quite fascinated to what's going to happen with him. I think, yeah, like you said, I think everyone thinks he's going to Kansas City. But if Kansas City takes like a first round, like they got the ninth pick, if they take one of the best receivers, with Rasheed
Mm-hmm.
Rice and Xavier Worthy, I don't know if you need him or want him really, like with that
Yeah,
coming off the injury. Again, like I don't think they have the money, but even like someone like Buffalo could use that speed, but I don't think they go
so
for him. I just think it really depends on how much money he's going to ask for. Is he going to be like, I'm Tyreek Hill, you're still gonna have to pay me like 20, so I'll just go
yeah,
play for like kind of like a couple of years ago when it was like Hopkins had all these choices. Where is he gonna go? And he just
yeah,
took the money to go to Tennessee and play with Will Levis.
yeah,
And it was like, oh, okay. And then years later, he's like, I want my Super Bowl now. It's like, dude, that time has
yeah,
passed. So does Tyreek Hill want another Super Bowl? Does he want to just kind of, does he go to, I think he goes to somewhere like San Francisco. I could see like if
yeah.
the Niners are like, let's
Load
get
up.
them little load up with him and Mike Evans and
Yeah,
Ricky Pearsall and let Brock Purdy just cook up a storm all year. So I think he goes to a contender. I just don't see him just chasing the money. I don't even know I could, but I just think
sure.
he wants to win a Super Bowl again. I think especially after, he left Kansas City and then they won two straight without him. I think that sits with
Yeah,
him and stings him a bit. So I don't know if he goes back
yeah.
there,
Well,
but we'll see.
I think there's a lot of hype to it. To your point, I could because they have so much cap space. Is the Titans? That's the obvious. They got the money; they could take them. To me, then you start looking and go, okay, well, what about the Bucks? You know, can they find the money and can they work out a deal? Because staying in Florida, obviously they've lost Mike Evans. You've got Mbuka, but
Yeah,
is this a
it's
guy
not
that
bad.
this spreads that you give him someone to spread for it? And we'll get into some of the Packers too. The Packers lost a lot of talent too. They're going to have some. They're making some space. So you wonder if it's going to be something where he is going, or does he want to stay somewhere warm because you've been playing in Florida for so long? And it's like, is it something where he would be great with a Justin Herbert? Is that something you put him in with the Chargers?
Yeah,
Or is it Mike? If Mike McDaniel's like, look, come here, we'll give you a quarterback that will let you stretch the field. So it'd be interesting. We talked
that
about
would
former
be.
Patriot Stephon Diggs. A lot of drama still with this guy. Sometimes you think when guys get older, they lose a bit of drama. Not him. No, no, he still
No,
loves the drama and baby
he
mamas.
loves it.
32 years old, 11 years in the league. Um, is he going to take the money? Is this when he's like, you don't want me, screw it? Or do you think he's still got that hunger after, getting to the Super Bowl?
I mean, he always has the hunger. He's just because he's a psycho. He's a bit of a psycho the way he is mentally, and just
Yeah,
plays that way. So I see him maybe going to somewhere like Baltimore. I think he's going to
yeah,
kind of stay in that. I think he still wants to be in a place where he can like stick it to Buffalo and stick it to the Patriots,
yeah.
maybe. So I could see him kind of staying in the AFC. Uh, but
Mm-hmm.
other than that, I don't see anything else really. I think again, I think people are waiting to kind of see what happens with his kind of lawsuit that he's kind of dealing with right now.
Yeah,
Is there going to be, and then if he ends up getting in trouble with that, is there going to be a suspension that comes with that? So, I think he's a guy that probably doesn't sign till, middle of training camp, I'd say. Just
yeah.
I mean, he's always going to show up. I don't think anyone's desperate to bring on Stephon Diggs' attitude, considering
No.
every team he goes to, it seems to be more than happy to get rid of him. So I think, and then when you're at
Yeah.
32 years old, it just becomes, is this worth it? Is this worth it?
Well, then we talk about Trayvon Diggs as well, who's also the
Yeah.
cornerback, 28 and a half years old, 5 years in the league. He's been with the Packers, but he's a free agent now. Still got some zip in him, and he's still as a cornerback wasn't that standoutish, I would say, in Green Bay. but could you see him, that the two of them as a package deal, or
Yeah,
just
maybe.
somebody who's just, yeah, take the
I
brothers,
could see
the
that. I
brothers
could see
digs.
that. He's really like he only really had that one year where he got all those interceptions and it kind of just
Yeah,
sprungboard. And then he just got kind of lit up for a couple years. Had got a bad injury last year. And again,
yeah,
like you said with receiver, like 28, 29-year-old corners, just there's lots of them around. So
yeah,
there's lots of those veteran guys. So you don't really, there's still even guys like Tre'Davious White are around. Like there's I think someone picks him up because it's a solid depth piece, but even with the
yeah.
Packers with all their injuries and everything, he couldn't even sniff the field really doing much with them. So I don't anticipate
Mm-hmm.
anything. I can see him playing with his brother. Why not? But I mean, do you really want two digs play on your team? That would be a lot. I don't
Double
think any
diggity,
coach is
no.
like, sign me up for that.
Yeah. Let's talk about left tackle Taylor Decker. He's been in the league 10 years with Detroit. You know, he was 20 million a year kind of guy. 32 years old. They're going to be 33 this year. As a left tackle, they've obviously put together a good line there as well. Do you see someone, are you going to spend a lot of money for this guy, or is this going to be one of those guys where you sort of wait until the season starts and you sort
Yeah.
of cave and he gets a 1 year deal?
I think guys like that who, again, 32-year-old offensive linemen, they've done the training camps. They're like, yeah, I'll wait. Wait, someone's going to go down in
Yeah.
training camp. There's my opportunity. Because I think guys like that who just probably looking for one more season, one more payday, you know,
Yeah.
they don't mind waiting to missing mini camps and they don't have to go for stretching camps in May and all these kind of
Yeah.
weirdo other things. And so yeah, I again, one thing you can never almost have enough of is quality offensive linemen in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's because once a guy goes down, you saw it with the Chargers. Like look what happened to them. They didn't have any
Yeah.
tackle back depth, and they got mauled almost every single week. Herbert was
Yeah.
getting killed. So yeah, he'll be fine. He'll wait, and I think like a lot of these guys, I think a lot of the guys over 30 are just like, I don't need all this. I'll come in July, August when I'm ready. Do a couple weeks training camp,
Yeah, and
back in
have them
shape,
have them
ready
come
to go.
have them come to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Marshawn Lattimore, who's been in the season for 8 years in the league, turning 30 this year with Washington, was on like 19.5 million. Again, we're talking about a cornerback that isn't as shut down as he used to be, but still, is this where you bring him to a new team and he finds a bit of life in him, for someone like that? And are you going to pay the money for him?
I mean, he's good. I think again, guys like that are still going to be like you even saw it with Buffalo late in the season. They tried to get Darius Slay, but he wouldn't come play for the Bills.
Yeah.
Like when you get to the late in the season, you need bodies and cornerbacks. Another one, solid depth. Marshawn Lattimer's been
Yeah.
a great corner for most of his career. So I think he's still got a couple years left in him. I think he's still got like those Richard Sherman years left. Go find a nice little
Yeah.
contender to fall into. You don't have to play every day. You don't have to be a starter. Maybe just come in, be
Yeah.
a little depth piece. Nice. So I would love a Marshawn Lattimore. But again, the price would have to be, like a 1 year, 8 million, kind of something like that. Probably 10 million,
How
maybe.
about Debo Samuel? Because there's a guy
Oof.
7 years in the league with Washington. He's on 17.5 mil. He is going to be turning 31 this year, or he's just turned 30 actually. Is this a guy? He seems to have trouble that follows him, or maybe he's the trouble that starts. Uh,
Well,
a
yeah.
guy that I think when he was with San Fran, a lot of people were like, oh, this guy's great. We used in so many different roles. He was a utility piece, and then he just became a pain in the ass.
Well, yeah, he's also taken a beating from all the uses of running back and just the kind of
Yep.
it's just been he was okay. I don't think he had his moments in Washington, but unfortunately, they had that terrible year where Daniels went down. They had Mariota. Even like all the receivers just kind of dropped off. So again, he's a guy again like maybe Baltimore does a team that kind of needs that. I think Debo's just probably just waiting for the right spot, but I could also see him just taking the money and just going somewhere maybe who
Yeah.
just pays them the most. Maybe like
Titans.
goes to like the Raiders, goes somewhere like the Raiders who
Yeah.
just need some bodies with maybe like a good little offensive, someone who could kind of like be a leader and help a young quarterback. So because the Raiders are desperate for any sort of
Yeah.
playmakers of any sort of talent. So I could see him going there. That's where I would go.
Right tackle Jack Conklin. Spent a lot of time with the Browns. He's 31.6 years old. He's on 15 million a year. I mean, right tackles, is this, no one's really picked him up yet, and he's, was a standout on a bad team. Who do you think, where do you think he's going to go for someone like that?
Again, I just think if I was Cincinnati, I would just load up on offensive linemen because your whole season you have to this year keep Joe Burrow healthy and happy because
Mm-hmm.
he's miserable when he's getting beat up back there. And if he goes down with another injury like early in the season, people are going to start having a lot of questions about Joe Burrow. And you can see the Cincinnati experiment just getting like completely just tanked. So if I'm the
Yeah.
Bengals, I'm drafting an offensive lineman. I'm bringing in some guys to compete because they just haven't been able to figure it out. And their most important asset, because again, when Joe Burrow goes down, Jamar Chase goes down pretty much. D. Higgins goes
Yeah.
down. Everyone goes. The whole team goes down.
Not Joe Flacco.
Yeah, then you have to get Joe Flacco. We don't have to. I mean, we do love a little Joe Flacco, but
Yeah.
if I'm the Bengals, I'm signing every kind of offensive lineman and just throwing them and just seeing what sticks because I just want to keep Joe happy.
Lastly, we'll talk about Aaron Rodgers, who we know is 42.
Always best for last.
It seems like everything that Pittsburgh is doing is to give him one last rodeo because the start of the season, maybe everyone's like, "What about Rodgers?" And the second part, you're like, "Actually, he got us in the playoffs."
Oh, I forgot they made the playoffs. It's just crazy to even think that happened.
So is that something where you go, okay, we got a new coach, we're going to support him, we got the right pieces, or does Pittsburgh just flip the switch and they just draft quarterback and go from there?
I mean, everything they've done seems that they must know he's coming back, right? You got McCarthy, you got Michael Pittman Jr., you got weapons now on offense. You kind of done everything, and if they don't sign him, I don't know what your options are. Like Kirk Cousins is gone now; he's in. So there's not like there's this plethora of anybody really out there. Even Geno Smith's gone.
Yeah.
Like there's literally nobody. If they do this, then it's like, why did you trade for Pittman, and why did you trade? Like the roster building will come into serious questions because if Rodgers doesn't play, I don't know what this team is. If they're going for like a one shot with McCarthy, Rodgers, I kind of like that. It's kind of fun. Bring them back together, see what they can do.
Yeah.
And everything they've done seems to have been to help him this year. So I imagine he comes back. He just loves the attention. He wants to drag this on. He's gonna do this till the end of time. He's Brett Favre too, so he has to keep. Yeah, so
just all the drama. We got cap space. I mean, obviously the Titans 63 million, then Commanders, Chargers, Cardinals, Jets. I mean, I think to me the interesting thing is the dead money. We start with Miami, 179 million in dead money. The Saints, 112 million in dead money. 51 million for the Eagles, 111 million for the Jets. How do you think affects, what's the problem here? Because I think this is obviously a general management thing. When you have so much dead money, to me, that is an indication of failure on behalf of your front office.
Well, but not necessarily. It's also failure usually on behalf of your quarterback because we've seen now the Russell Wilsons and Tua's having these like $60 million cap hits that are becoming. And if you give a big contract to a quarterback and then he stinks, that's a looming thing. And I think teams are just more willing to, instead of like finagling and like let's just spread it out, they're like, let's just take like a hit on 1 year or 2 years and just get it over with. Just like that's what Sean Payton did. And he actually almost made the playoffs in one of those years. The dead cap's been so big. So it's not as scary as a proposition. I think you got, teams like the Eagles, the Bills, the Chiefs, all these teams that have kind of pushing it down the credit card. the problem is with all the money that keeps coming in, the cap just keeps going up. So you still just keep
Yeah.
getting more room. So it's a kind of a smart strategy, but I think it's just more of if you have this huge cap, usually something went terribly wrong, either injuries, bad contracts, bad GMs, or sometimes just a mix of all of them.
Yeah.
But I think I think dead cap is just something now that it's best to just get it over, like pull a band-aid. Like everyone's just like, let's just do it in one go. We'll stink this year. We'll get a great draft pick, and then we'll have that off the books, and we can move forward. So I think it's a smart move for like the Dolphins, especially. Just stink this
Yeah.
year, stink next year, and probably be better for it than sticking with Tua.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
no, sometimes, like, well, I mean, Denver proved sometimes you just have to take the shit pill. And that's it. You got to eat the shit pill for a couple of years, rebuild from there. And hopefully you notice and you learn from your mistakes and go, we should not have given that much money. Because there's a lot of times, as you
exactly.
say, where it was a Russell Wilson, where you're giving ridiculous contracts to people and going, I don't know if they've proved it yet. Lastly, I'm going to ask you, because there's a few guys I think we're looking at. Are they on their final season? Could this be the final season? Let's start with a guy Jordan Poyer. He's 34 years old. There's
I
you
mean,
wonder if this is a guy that maybe it's sort of this is the last rodeo for the guy, and retirement after that.
he actually played all right last year. I thought last year was going to be his last year. I don't think he signs with anyone. Maybe someone just takes a fly. Again, it's just going to be injuries. He's solid, but you can't really have 34-year-old safeties that well, you're just the worry of getting beaten over the top with a 34-year-old safety is just too high. So I can't
Yeah.
imagine anyone outside of Buffalo probably brings it back. And I think now that Sean McDermott's gone, I don't think Buffalo brings it back. So I would say yes. My bet would be yes. He's done. I don't see him coming back.
Okay, Cam Hayward, Pittsburgh. He's 37 years old. Is this one of those things where you go with a Rodgers dynasty, but after that everything's starting to give up because he hasn't been as demonstrative as he has been, especially at 37 years old.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's done it all. Like, the only guys, there's very few like the Calais Campbells and Haywards
Yeah,
that have been able to really kind of do this. So yeah, I think he goes one more shot with Rodgers. Rodgers retires. He's like, I'm not going through he's not going through a rebuild with Pittsburgh
yeah.
again. So do they just cut him? Probably not. So I think he wants to probably finish his career in Pittsburgh. So I say yes, this is his last season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is the one last ride of the rodeo. Put everything into it. You bind up everything. You take the injections, and you play through. You just mentioned him, Calais Campbell. He's 40 for Tampa
I
Bay,
know.
and the guy he's been sort of the heart and soul of the team. You did so well at the start of the season. The whole season collapsed. Is this something where he's like, all right, this is my last chance. Baker, come win it for us. Or is this something where, it's probably his last year? Or
He's
does he, at 41, go, I still can keep playing?
I think he keeps going. I think he's just one of these marvels. He's actually still pretty good. Like he wasn't that bad last
Yeah.
year, and I think he's just serviceable. He's what that kind of space eater that you need. It doesn't have to. Guys like that, they don't have to like penetrate and get big sacks. They just kind of need to hold the line and just be a big space eater, and that's what he's good at. So I see he goes one more
Yeah.
year. I think he just enjoys football. Like to play at 41, you gotta love it because your poor body.
We're talking about a guy who loves football. Bobby Wagner, big personality, 36 years old. He's a free agent. Is this one of those things where you sort of go, if he doesn't get picked up, because, he'd still be an asset to a team, I think, if not for the locker room, but he's still got enough presence. Is this something where Bobby, would he retire before the season if he doesn't get picked up, or would it be like, I'm doing a 1-year contract final year?
Yeah, I don't think he plays. I just don't think anyone wants a 36-year-old linebacker again. You're just a liability in there. You're just going to get, especially if you have to go in coverage, unless you're just like one of
Yeah.
those like Ray Lewis thumpers who's just kind of like he's solid a couple years ago, but I just think again 36 is old for a linebacker. So I don't think he plays this year. I think he's done.
I think, Matt Prater, I think he's the second oldest guy in the league. He's 42. Kicker. Is this something where this could be a last year? You kick it, or you try to keep going till you're 50.
He was all right with Buffalo. I mean, I just don't see why. Have you seen how bad some of the kickers are in the NFL? I don't see
Yeah.
why not. I don't see why we shouldn't have more kickers. More kickers we need.
Okay, we'll end with a couple of quarterbacks here. Joe Flacco obviously signed a 1-year deal
Never.
with the
He'll
Bengals.
never retire.
41 years old. You just think he's just going to keep coming back. He's like herpes. He's just like he's out. You
Yeah,
can't get rid of him.
he'll be back. He'll try. I mean, I don't see what he was. I mean, is he good? No, but he's again, like we say, when you just need someone to kind of give you a couple weeks, bring him in. He's like a
Yeah.
hired, like an assassin killer. You know, he has no shits to give, no f's to give left. So he's just going to throw it up, touchdowns, interceptions. He doesn't care. So I say Joe Flacco keeps going until the NFL stops paying him, basically. So I don't think he
Just
keeps.
shows
I say
up,
he keeps going.
doors lock, or he pulls a Costanza, and you can't get rid of him.
Yeah, exactly.
We mentioned the aforementioned Aaron Rodgers. With everything being built, do you think this is the last year for him?
Oh,
that
yes,
we just go see what we can do?
I think this is it.
And
There's just no way. I think again because just with everything, and that's it. I think he wants to go out on, and I don't think he gets another year in Pittsburgh. So I'd be shocked.
And you're to that point, he's made enough money. He's got enough of a cachet in terms of his own sort of celebutard that he can be something, and aside from football. Let's talk about lastly then Matt Stafford. 38 years old. He's done it, like he's. But do you think, with the way the Rams are, they do look to be probably one of the favorites for the Super Bowl this year, just based on the team? Is this something that, he's got the 4 beautiful little girls at home? Is this one where you go, okay, this is it, and then I'm done if we can't get the Super Bowl this year?
Yeah,
especially at home.
I think so. I think he's done. I think it could be like a whole thing. It could be like I think McVay could leave as well, and they'd probably maybe even trade Puka Nacua because they're gonna have no like. What are they gonna do? They can maybe draft a quarterback in this year to kind of maybe they come in and draft a guy in the first round. Be like, we got our guy for the future. Going to sit behind Stafford for a year, but I don't think he plays after this year. I think they were so close to a Super Bowl, and I think if they would have won a Super Bowl last year, he would have retired. So I think he's got one more left in him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that had they won that one, it would have been saying to the girls, we're done. Everyone, Daddy's going to be home full time. Your mom and I are going to start arguing again because I'm home all the time. But this one, I think, this is. But I think, and lastly, too, when you talk about this Puka drama, obviously he's in rehab now because he was sort of going off the rails a bit. Do they rein him in? Yeah, you're like, what the hell is happening to Puka?
Money to the guys going on streamers and just going crazy. So I think if anything, he cost himself a contract extension this year. They were like, we'll do it next year. We'll do it next year. See what happens this year.
Yeah.
See if he doesn't go full crazy.
That's it. Full crazy. That's we'll find someone who goes full crazy. Folks, that's it for this episode of the podcast. Next podcast, we'll be back the look at the draft because the draft is coming up in a couple weeks. Everyone's heading to Pittsburgh. Ryan and I will have our own predictions for the draft. Everyone, thanks for listening, and make sure you follow us on the socials.